You grow careless, my king.
You made enough noise to wake a drunken Nemedian. Now, what news from your spies?
The hill tribes of Cimmeria hold our northern border, sire, but they cannot last. In the west, Picts gather in force, while to the east, the scheming Nemedians break your truce. From beyond the river Styx, an ancient evil crawls from the tombs of Stygia towards our southern border.
Aye, we are surrounded and outnumbered. We sound the bells of war. We shall call upon every strong arm and sharp sword to fight. We will bring them to their knees and see them crushed by the fury of our kingdom.
Rated M for mature. Yo. Kjære TG-publikum. Det er på tide å lære mer om den største norske spillsatsningen noensinne. Aldri har det vært brukt mer penger, flere ressurser enn denne gangen her for å utvikle et spill. Trekk fram til scenen og ta imot gutta fra Funcom, for nå har du muligheten til å lære mer om Age of Conan. Vi har fylt opp ganske bra her. Er det noen forventninger til dette spillet? Ja, dere har det? Har du lyst til å møte gutta som står bak? Bra! Da synes jeg vi skal hilse på dem. Og prøver vi å få alt teknisk på plass. Jeg har mikrofon her, og du har mikrofon her. Vil du ha to?
Ja, takk det da.
Ja. Han elsker mikrofon, jeg vet det. Velkommen til The Gathering 2008.
Takk for det, så mye. Hei alle sammen!
Da tar du showet herfra, Jørgen da?
Da tar jeg det herfra.
Da tar du det herfra.
Yes.
Lykke til.
Ok, jeg kommer til å gjøre dette på engelsk, fordi at det vi har tenkt å gjøre her i dag er at vi skal spille Age of Conan. Og vi skal gjøre det med amerikanske utviklere som sitter i USA, og de skal vi spille med nå her. Så da må jeg snakke på engelsk, sånn at de vet hva som skjer. Og så har vi også denne karen her som heter Shannon. Shannon is one of the guys working at Funcom. So, yes. My name is Erling Ellingsen. På norsk er det Erling Ellingsen. Høres litt bedre ut på norsk. And I work at Funcom. I work as a product manager, and I basically have the fantastic job of just traveling around, meeting people like you and showing you the game. So what we're going to do here today is play Age of Conan. This is probably the most amazing MMO you're ever going to see. There you go. So, if like the thousands of people who's playing World of Warcraft here, if you can just step away from the computer for a few minutes, I'll show you I'll show you what you're going to be playing next year at TG, or The Gathering. All right, so should we just run the first trailer? I think we showed that trailer earlier, did we? Okay, we're going to show you the video again just to get you a little bit excited. All right. Is that cool or what? Yay! Good stuff. Okay. So let's not waste any more time. Let's just jump right into Age of Conan. So Shannon here, he's gonna load up the game. It's gonna take a few minutes because this is all real time. And one important thing to mention, I need to just give you a short disclaimer. The version that Shannon here is gonna be playing today is a version straight out of development. It is basically a version of the game that I just dragged out of the hands of one of the programmers. So it's completely new. We just wanted to show you all the new, really cool stuff. But that also means this is a game still in development. It is still 2 months away from launch. So there might be some bugs. There might be a few strange things happening. You just have to trust us when we say that we're going to iron out all those issues. All right, so this is the patcher. Incredibly important tool. The patcher is basically, as you know, going to allow us to add changes, add content after we launch the game. There we go. Age of Conan is up to date. Okay, so just to go over the basics. Age of Conan is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game. MMORPG, you all know what it is. It is set in a world of Conan, which is basically a world that was created by an American author over 70 years ago, an author named Robert E. Howard. It is an incredibly... Could we lower the lights on the screen, please? Yeah, the picture is a little bit squeezed. Anyway, okay, so this is an incredibly violent game. It is a mature rated title. It's meant for 18 people and up. So all of you guys who's sitting in the audience today who's under 18, you gotta go. No, I'm just kidding. Don't worry. Okay, so this is character selection screen. This is where you select the character that you're gonna be playing. We're gonna create a new character now, so you can see that. Yeah, go in. Okay, so when you first start out in Age of Conan, you are a slave. You are nothing. You are a slave on board a Stygian slave galley, and that's basically character creation. That's where you create the character that you're going to be playing for, hopefully, the next 1,000 hours, if not even more. In Age of Conan, we have this incredibly advanced tool that allows you to really tweak every little thing about your character's appearance. You can tweak everything from the size of your body, which bones goes where. There we go. And so on. The first thing you're going to notice is that there is no dwarves, there is no elves. This is a realistic fantasy universe. It's what we call magical realism. I mean, you don't have elves, but you have 200 feet tall dragons out to eat you. So this is character creation. You basically choose between male, female, and you have 3 different races to choose from. You have the Aquilonians. The Aquilonians are sort of based on our world's Romans, or typical Mediterranean people. Then you have the Cimmerians, which is based on the Celtics and northern races. So that's the sort of type of people that you and I probably associate best with. And then you have the Stygians, which is based on our real world's Egyptian, Middle Eastern people. And all of these different races have their different abilities. For instance, the Stygians are the only ones who can become magicians. All right, so let's choose Cimmerian. So how advanced you want to do this is really up to you. You can click on the Advanced button, and you can start customizing every little feature about your character's appearance. Yeah, you can just use this big slider, or you can go into even more advanced options, and you can tweak things like the size of your arms, the size of your shoulders, and if you're a woman, size of other stuff. Sorry for being crude. Okay, and on the other side you have the character's face. If we zoom in on the face, you can just see how incredibly detailed this is. There are really hundreds of little facial features here that you can tweak. And in Age of Conan is probably the first MMO where you can create a character that looks unique from everyone else on the server. In the beta that we are in right now, I've actually had people come up to me and recognize my character based on my character's looks, because they're playing without the name tags, and that's pretty incredible. So you can make someone look really, really ugly or really pretty, and that's just really how the world is. So again, realistic. Okay, I think we're gonna head in. So we're gonna find a good character name. Pharamond rules. Okay, Pharamond is Shannon's nickname, so this is his chance of a little spotlight. Okay, so what's happening here is that the ship that you're on sinks. There is this huge storm, and you're being attacked by other ships. So your character gets thrown into the ocean, and you basically wake up on an island called Tortage, which is a tropical paradise at first sight. But once you start exploring it a little more, you easily find out that it's a horrible, horrible place filled with pirates and bandits and all these terrible people that is incredibly dangerous to meet in real life. But when you meet them in a game, you just want to cut off their head. And you're going to be doing that a lot in Age of Conan. So, yes. What we wanted to do is step away from the way that MMOs usually throw you into the world. Usually you're just thrown into a grind. You're being told, okay, go kill 10 rabbits, go kill 10 rats, and then you just do that over and over again. And it's sort of, you feel like you're put into sort of on a treadmill. In Age of Conan, though, you have a story. For the first 20 levels, this is a part single player, part multiplayer game, which means that the story is incredibly, incredibly complex. It's very interesting. World-changing event is going to happen. It's going to feel like you're actually playing a single-player game. And then, just by a click of a button, you can jump over to the multiplayer game. and play with your friends. And it's really a whole new way of introducing you to the world. Now what you're seeing here is a cutscene. Most of the quests in the game actually have some sort of cutscene. Instead of just a box with text, you're actually told the story in a much more interesting way. And this guy here is called Calantis, and I'm just gonna let him talk so you get the feel of how the cinematic system works. Turn up the sound a little bit. Alright, so Calantis here basically tells you that the slave master who was on the ship, he also survived. So you have to run out and you have to kill him because if he reaches the pirate city of Tortage on the other side of the island before you, they're not gonna let you into the city. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna run a camera path that takes us through this environment. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what you're seeing. Swimming is very important, of course. And the first thing you notice here is just the graphical detail of this game. The graphics is simply amazing. It is beyond anything you have ever seen in an MMO before. I think I can safely say that. Here we go. So we're gonna start underwater and we're gonna fly up through the jungle. So as I was saying, the first 20 levels of the game is completely single player and multiplayer. It's an incredibly interesting way to approach an MMO game. So the graphics that you see here is incredibly detailed. And the reason why we're able to do this is because we're using our own proprietary technology, something called Dreamworld, an engine that Funcom, a Norwegian company, has been developing for over 10 years. And it's so good that Blizzard is shaking. Codemasters is shaking. And we're gonna cut off everyone's head. No, wait.
I don't want to
No,
go.
I'm just kidding. I love World of Warcraft and I love Lord of the Rings. Fantastic games. Okay, so you can see here, when we fly through the jungle, everything looks very lush. Everything looks very thick. It feels like you're actually going into a jungle. It's not like usual game forest where there's like 20 meters between every tree. And you can see when you move through this that this first 5 levels of the game is basically a tutorial. It's where you get to learn how to play the game all by yourself in a single player instance. You're being told how to fight, how to move, and all these important things. And what we're getting into now is a part of the island inhabited by these native people called the Picts. This is a sort of savage, brutal culture of people who lives on this island. And if you read the Conan lore, you know that they're absolutely to be feared. So what you can see here is that some of the architecture is actually ancient Asheronian architecture. It's thousands of years old, and this used to be underground. But due to a volcano on the island, all these ancient ruins are being pushed up. And the other inhabitants of these islands, like the Picts, they're sort of building their own little city in this ruin. So when you get to play this game on this island, which is just a tiny, tiny part of the entire game world, you can just sink your teeth into all this history that's present in this game. And one of the really interesting things is that everything in Conan's lore is based on our real world. It's based on our real world locations, history, people. So you will actually, when you move through this world, you will find things that you recognize from our own world. You know, you'll go to Stygia, it feels like Egypt. You'll go to Cimmeria, which feels like somewhere in Norway. And also, even the history itself just reflects our own real world history. And yes, this guy that you're seeing right here, this is Sadur. He is the slave master who beat your or lashed your flesh day and night on board the slave galley, and you're gonna get to execute some vengeance on him, of course, in true Conan style. So this part of the game, now I really have to like drag this speech out. I didn't realize that it was gonna take that long. Okay, so the first part of the game, as I said, is a part single player, part multiplayer game, which means you get to do a lot of really interesting things. As you're gonna see very soon now, you will be able to switch between daytime and nighttime while you're on the island of Tortage. You can choose. And during nighttime, you're in your own single-player instance, and during daytime, you're in a typical MMO world where you see other players, other friends running around. And this is really the path leading up to Tortage. And now, this is where it gets really exciting. Yay! And this volcano that you see here, as we pan over, this is just one of the many locations on the island, and you will be able to climb up the volcano, you will be able to explore every little nook and cranny of this island, and just really, I mean, there's so much exploration in this game. All right, is this camera path soon done, please? Yes, thank you. Okay, now what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna jump to the city of Tortage, so you get a feel for how that city really looks like. Now, to get into the city, when you first start out playing, you know, during your first hour, to get into the city, you actually have to prove your worth for the people that live in that city. You will have to do quests for them. If you try to, like, run in through the gate, a guard is actually going to appear and throw you out. And this is really just a part of a really interactive, dynamic environment. The things that are happening around you feels much more like a single-player game. There's really events happening that you normally don't find in these types of games. And this is the loading screen. Beautiful artwork. All right, so what you're gonna see first probably is just the incredible amount of detail that we put into the cities. If you played games like Oblivion, for instance, you sort of have a notion of how detailed everything looks. And even down to the artificial intelligence on the NPCs. They're actually living entities that walk around. Okay, so this is Tortage. It is a hive of scum and villainy. It's a terrible place. You wouldn't want to go there in real life, but in a game it really provides an interesting backdrop. These are the gates that you won't get through. You can see the Thirsty Dog Inn. This is one of the first bars you're going to visit in a game. And bars is incredibly important in Conan's world. And this is the keep of an evil guy named Strom who lives here. And you're going to meet him through this really epic adventure. Okay, we're going to just run into the city. Footstep sounds. So as you can see here, you have, for instance, NPCs walking around. Now, all the NPCs in Age of Conan have minds. You know, we design brains in Funcom. They will, okay, these girls will just stand around looking stupid. But anyway, you'll have NPCs who walk around. If they get thirsty, they will go get something to drink. If they get hungry, they will go get something to eat. And if they get tired, they will sit down. If they feel threatened by something, they will attack. They really feel living. They really feel like living entities. So this city you're going to be spending a lot of time in the early levels. And it's so incredibly many places you can explore. You can explore this giant, complex system of catacombs under the city. You will be able to go to the volcano and so on. Okay, now this is the Rum and Rumble. This is one of the bars. And here is a perfect example of artificial intelligence. It's gonna bounce back, don't worry. This is internet connection. There you go. So this is a perfect example of the artificial intelligence, or rather, the lack of intelligence. Look away, look away, look away. We don't want to show this. There's kids here. Anyway, that NPC actually had just been inside the bar and he had been drinking. And when you drink too much, what do? Yes, you go outside and you pee in the ocean. Like we all do. Now we're gonna run up to the other bar, and again, in Hyboria, there's like 20 meters between every bar. It's an incredibly important place to be. Because if you're in a bar, you can, for instance, you can drink, you can get drunk as a character, you can drink beer and wine and liquor and all these things. And if you get drunk, you can actually fight other players who are also drunk. And we call this terribly exciting feature Drunken Brawling. Just embodies everything what Conan is about. Okay, this is the Thirsty Dog Inn that we're moving into. It's gonna have a lot of the important characters that you meet early in the game. You have, for instance, Sigurd. Great Norwegian name, who's standing there, the bartender. This is Otho, who had his arm chewed off by a rabbit. No, sorry, that's Monty Python. Anyway, okay, so here you have all the characters. You can just see the level of detail in their characters' faces, and then you have drunk people and everything, cats and so on and so on. Okay, I think we're just gonna head over to the Onyx Chamber, Shannon. Okay. So what we're gonna do now? Now you've just seen a little part of the early parts of the game. So what we're gonna do now is go to the complete opposite location. We're gonna turn ourselves into a level 80 Guardian. The Guardian is one of the many classes in the game. Yes, you will not get access to that cheat command, trust me. The Guardian is one of 12 classes in the game, and all the classes are really exciting because you don't have your typical paladins and clerics. No, instead you have things like demonologists, you have the Herald of Sotley, you have the Bear Shaman, you have all these different classes that when you start playing the game, you click on one of the classes and you have really no idea how to play them. And that's the feeling of exploration and the feeling of trying something new that we want to give you in Age of Conan. Okay, so now we are heading over to the Onyx Chamber. This is one of the higher level social dungeons in Conan. And social means that they're not instanced. You just go in there and you will actually find other players running around as well. And this is in a location called Stygia, which is like the desert realm of Conan's world. So in this dungeon, we are being joined by our American associates in Funcom USA. And they're sitting there, yeah, there they're standing. So they have taken on different roles, so we're just gonna give you a glimpse on how different the characters in this game are. That was the Demonologist, he's a spellcaster. Yes, evil spellcaster. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next class. This is the Priest of Mitra. It's a typical healer, very typical healer. Move on to the next. Yes, bow. This is the Conqueror. He's sort of like a tank. He's sort of like the Paladin, sort of like the Captain in Lord of the Rings. He can, inspire people to do great things. And then we move on to the next one, my personal favorite, the Assassin. Yes, very sexy, but very dangerous. Femme fatale. So the assassin is sort of like the rogue, stealthing behind people and, killing them by sticking things into their backs. And yes, this is the demonologist's pet. This is the succubus. And this is why all of you under 18 should just go away now. At least if you're American. Oh, did I say that? Anyway. Okay, so we're going into our different menus. Okay, we're being invited to the group. I think we should do the feats first, Shannon. All right, so this is the feat system. It's sort of like the talent system in World of Warcraft. Every time you level up, after level 10, you get feat points that you can invest into your character. That gives you special abilities, special attacks, special spells, all of these different things. And as we're cheating now, as we're a level 80 character, we can just put stuff into anything. If you ever get killed in PvP in Age of Conan, it's probably this guy. Cheating. Okay. So this is our combo book. And what I'm going to talk about now is the combat in Age of Conan. That is beyond anything you've ever seen before. And this thing here, these are combo moves. These are special moves your character can execute by hitting with their weapon in different directions. And they lead to like more damage, and you do this really cool animation that looks really good. Okay, what I think we should do now is... Oh, you're gonna add a different direction? Okay, this is really cool, because in Age of Conan, when you fight something, you don't run up to it and click on it and then just tell your character to auto-attack for you. No, in Age of Conan, everything is real time. You hit with your weapon in different directions. If you hit on 1, for instance, you're gonna do this type of movement. If you hit 3, you're gonna do this. And everything is controlled by you, the character. You, the player. This is not automated. It's something that's happening in real time. It is really like fighting in an arcade action game. It's a completely new way of approaching combat in MMOs. Okay, should we head out? So we are going deeper into the bowels of Onyx Chamber, a horrible place on Earth. And these are some of the bad guys, and we're gonna attack them to show you a little bit of how to come. Oh! turn the sound down a little bit, I think. So what you're seeing now is that he's actually swinging his weapon in different direction, and he has to actually move up to his enemy. If there are several enemies standing around him and he does a wide swing with his weapon, he will actually damage everyone. This is location based. It is not based on whoever you're targeting. So you really have to think about where your sword lands. And then you see these white things next to your enemies. This is his protection system. If you keep hitting your enemy on one side all the time, he will start moving all of his defenses over to that side, which means that he will take less damage. And then you sort of have to start hitting him in other directions, other unshielded directions. And some NPCs are really smart. They will move their protection around all the time. So you really have to think on your feet. You really have to think about where you're hitting. So now Shannon here, he's executing combo moves. He's telling the game what combo he wants to do, and then the game tells him which directions he has to swing his weapon in. So it's really sort of like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, you know, one of these typical console combat games. So every character in the group has their role, but in Age of Conan it's not so strict what sort of role you have. If you are a spellcaster, you too can run up and start hitting in different directions. That's another thing, the spellcasters have also this really complex system of how they're casting spells. Everything is location based. If you want to cast a spell on someone, you actually have to face them and then cast the spell. If you have a bow and arrow, you can actually zoom into first person mode, like in a first person shooter, and aim your arrow where you want it to land. Completely real time. Okay, I think that should be our last guy. And the combat system really just opens up as you go along. New things opens up, for instance, the ability to do active blocking. You can, for instance, hold in a button, and your character goes into a defensive stand, you know, shielding himself from attacks. And this will drain your stamina, but it will also give you time to breathe. So what we're really trying to say here is that combat is really, really dynamic, and it feels like an action game. Okay, so I think we are going a little bit further. We're going to sneak a little bit, I think. Okay, we're not going to sneak, we're just going to run ahead, as Conan would have done it. Just run down the hallway. Never mind what evil things lure or lie in the darkness. Okay, here are our friends. So now we have moved on to another level of the Onyx Chamber. Another evil layer of terribleness. So now we're fighting mummies, more typical humanoid creatures. Shannon is trying to execute the stagger combo. He slams his polearm into the ground to try and knock the mummy back, create some distance. Okay, so we're gonna run ahead. Yes, that way. Okay, we're gonna just try to avoid all these monsters, and we're gonna run past them. Never mind. Just jump down there. Yes. Oh, there are your friends. A real dungeon crawl, you know, jumping into dark places, you have no idea where they're going. And that's the feeling of exploration we want to give you in this game. There you are, our unlikely band of heroes. Or anti-heroes, as there are several of in Age of Conan. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna move into another room, and maybe we will find a boss monster here, if we are lucky. Okay, go in there. Yes, here you have a typical boss mob, a typical raid target. This is the Asheronian warlord, an ancient commander of the Asheronian army, who has mutated into something dark and terrible. He has crawled out from the depths of hell, and he's not a terribly happy person. He's actually quite pissed. And someone has stunned him, so he's not fighting back, which is a nice tactic. A little bit unfair, I think. Oh, now he's fighting back. And there are many of these raid targets. This guy's just one of them. You have, for instance, Yarekma the Soul Eater, this gigantic creature that picks up people and eats them. Yes, not a terribly nice person either. Come on, guys, get him down. Oh. We got some epic loot. Yes. Just need everything. Need. Yes, there you go. As you can see, I don't play with Shannon usually, because he just needs everything. Bastard. Yes. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna jump further into the game. We're gonna head to another region. Okay, all the adventurers are happy about what they've done here. Nobody got loot except Shannon, but hey. Okay, so now we are stepping out of the dungeon. We're flying through the hallways, out into fresh air. We are flying over the deserts of Stygia. We've created a huge world here. What you're just seeing here today is just tiny little bits of what we have actually designed. It's a huge world with snow-covered mountains, with lush swamps. You have the burning deserts of Stygia. You have about 300 square kilometers of area that you can explore. It's simply a gigantic game. Okay, so Stygia, what we're going to do now is that we're going to show something called mounted combat. This is something you have never seen before in MMOs. Because if you're playing, for instance, World of Warcraft, when you're fighting something, you have to step off your horse, or your horse magically disappears if you're attacked or something. But not in Age of Conan. In Age of Conan, when you're riding on your horse, you can ride into people, you can let your horse kick someone, you can run past someone and swipe with your weapon, cutting their head off. Really, it's like a mini game in itself, where you can just control your mount in different ways and get him to attack. Oh, this is pretty cool. You have the caravan over there. That's also part of the artificial intelligence. This caravan will roam around the desert, selling their wares as they visit different locations. Okay, so now we are in Stygia. We are in the Kopchev province. What Shannon is going to do first is find some good light conditions. We want it to be a little bit brighter for this. So we are cheating. We are using a GM system that allows us to modify time. So this is a typical example of day and night cycle. You can see shadows growing longer, shorter. It is an incredibly detailed world we're creating here. You know, these graphics, they took a long time to make, let me tell you that. Okay. So Shannon is sending a message. Autobots, transform and roll out. Okay, that's the wrong game, Shannon. That's Transformers. That's not Age of Conan. No need to say sorry either. Okay. So as you can see, we're bringing out different mounts. This is the mammoth, for instance. You can just see, this is so cool. When you see the character actually climbing on top of the mammoth. I can tell you, when we show this animation to the people working on this game, to the other people working on this game, everyone was like cheering, because this is like the awesomest things we've ever seen. You can actually see your character climbing on top. And you actually have to pre-order this game to get access to that mammoth. You can't buy it in the game. So if you run out now, afterwards, okay, not now, tomorrow, not tomorrow either, it's Easter. Anyway, if you pre-order the game, you can get access to these really cool mounts. There you have the Rhino, a different kind of mount. Again, a pre-order mount. And the other guys are gonna go up on their horses. So we basically have horses, mammoths, and rhinos. Now the really cool thing here is that all these different mounts, they handle differently. Oh, Shannon, you're on TV, by the way. Say, wave to your mother or something, yes. Okay, so yes, all the different mounts handle differently. I sort of like to compare it to Grand Theft Auto, where you have the mammoth, he's slow to pick up speed, he's very slow to turn, he's an incredibly clumsy creature. So he's sort of like the bus. He's sort of like the bus or the tank in Grand Theft Auto. And then you have the Rhino, which is sort of somewhere in the middle, like a minivan. And then you have the horses, which is sort of like a sports car. They're really quick, they can turn easily, and they're really agile. Okay, so we're gonna ride out into the burning deserts of Stygia. So when he's playing this mount now, he really has to plan ahead where he's going to turn and so on, because turning a rhino takes much longer time than actually turning with a horse. So it's really like a mini game in itself. It's incredibly fun to just bring out your mount and just travel through the world, get a feel for how your mount operates. Now, to go back to what I was saying, we have mounted combat in this game. Now, mounted combat works differently depending on what sort of mount you're using. If you are, for instance, using a mammoth, oh, get away, he says. Yes. If you're using the mammoth, and you swing your weapon in different directions, your mammoth will actually swing his tusks in different directions because you cannot use your melee weapon as you are so high up. But you can use spells and you can use ranged weapons. It's the same with the rhino. You're telling basically the rhino to attack for you. Now if you look at the horses, that's different. The horse riders actually use their own weapons. If you bring out your weapons, guys. There you go. And when they swing their weapon around, swing your weapon around. Swing your weapon around. No, okay, we're not getting that. Yes, you can, for instance, rear kick with a horse. Really cool. Well, anyway, when they're swinging their weapons around, they're actually swinging the weapons around the horse. And when you're like charging past an enemy, you have to hold up your sword and then let the sword go when you pass your enemy. But don't take my word for it. Let's see how that works. Okay, so we're gonna ride out. We have put up something we call non-aggression dummies. This is something we use internally when we're developing the game. We spawn these creatures that are completely stupid and don't do anything until you attack them. So let's do that. Yes. It looks sort of like a Disney movie, doesn't it? Ice Age meets something else. All right. There you can see, he swings his tusks around. He sends people flying through the air. Okay, these guys dive really easily. We just placed them out to show you how it works. Can we get a rear kick? Can we get a rear kick from the horse, please? There you go. You can tell your horse to kick behind you. Yes. Again, it's just a completely new way of playing these type of games. Okay, so we're gonna ride off into the distance towards the pyramid of Kopchev province. And that's actually a dungeon that you can go into and explore, but we're not gonna spend any time doing that. Also, I don't think you can see it on this screen, but when you zoom into your character, you can actually, the game is so detailed, you can actually see dent marks in your character's armor. You can see things like scratches. You can see details like hair on clothing. It's quite incredible. Okay, so I think we should dismount. Let's just do that here. You basically double click your, no, bring out your mount icon again. Noob. All right. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to show you one final really cool feature of Age of Conan that you haven't seen in these games before. We're going to create a guild, and we are going to create a guild city. Because in Age of Conan, you don't have to just go into cities that we have created. You can actually create your own city. Your guild can build a gigantic fortification with towering walls and different types of buildings, like the blacksmith and a stable and a table. No, table. Yes, you can build tables too. Damn it. Anyway, yes, you can build things like, yeah, blacksmith, university, temple, all of these different locations. Okay, so we have just created a guild. Have you invited everyone to the guild? Yes, you have. Okay, then you click on a book a city spot. So we are going to reserve a little location for ourselves. Now we're just cheating, by the way. Actually getting a city in a game takes a long time. It takes a lot of work. You have to have a big guild, around 30 members in your guild, before you're even allowed to try and get a city. Oh, excellent. Yes! And this is why we are still in beta. We have 2 months, don't worry. It's gonna be fine. Now, this is what I was telling you earlier. This is a developer version that we just pulled out of the developer's hands. So we are playing untested code to show you the latest, and that's what happens. That's just how game development works. But we're gonna jump right in again, and we're gonna pick up where we left on city building. Okay, so in Age of Conan, your guild can basically create a city. They can build a peaceful city in a location in the world, and they can also build something we call battle keeps. And a battle keep is also like a city, but the battle keep can be attacked by other players. And in Age of Conan, you have something called siege warfare. Sort of try and picture Braveheart meets Troy, meets The Gladiator, meets Kingdom of Heaven. It's hundreds of players meeting on a battlefield, crushing into each other, you know, mounted on horses and mammoths and everything. And you can actually build siege weapons like catapults. You can break down walls. It is full-out war. It's like playing Total War and putting it into an MMO. Unfortunately, we can't show you that here because it really requires hundreds of players. And all the developers wanted their Easter vacation, so we're unlucky. Okay, so now we are going to Cimmeria, one of the locations, or one of the countries in the game. We are stepping into an area called Lachish Plains. Lachish Plains is a so-called resource and gathering area. It's a part of the world where you can build something. Your guild basically goes into this place and says, okay, we want that part of the game world, and they can start building stuff. Now, to actually build something, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of coordination, team effort. You have to go out into the world and collect stone, you have to collect wood, iron, gold, of course, before you can create these buildings. Shannon, I think you just need to summon them, or will they assist you? Now we need to team up with our other guild members again so they can help us build this city. And what you're going to see now is really, really awesome. So this is Lachish Plains. What you see there, this stone, this is a foundation stone. They are scattered around this area. And when your guild has paid a certain amount of gold, yes, that's very funny. Excellent. Okay, so when your guild has paid for this piece of land, they can start building things. That's a feature. That's not a laser. Okay, so we're going to start by building the keep. Yes, right-click use. And this is if you just hover your mouse there, Shannon. Here you can see some information on what we need to build this keep. You know, we need wood, stone, gold, iron, and it tells you what that keep will do. And the keep is the central heart of your player city. It's what you need to build first before you build anything else. Okay, let's build a keep. I am sure. Shouldn't I? Okay, so we're building the keep. This is sped up for demonstration purposes. We're speeding things up now just to see how it goes. Because actually, just building one little building is a team effort. It takes time. You need to send all your guild members into the world and try and collect things to build it. So you can just sort of see it rise up from the ground. It's sort of like being one of those little men running around in real-time strategy games, running around the buildings that you're creating. And you can go into your player keep. This is a nice place for role-playing. You can, for instance, throw a party, get everyone drunk, lie under the tables here, really have a good time with your guild. And you can see our other guild members, they have started creating other things. What you see over there, this is the trade post. This is the Age of Conan equivalent of the auction house. This is where you can buy and sell stuff. Other players that are outside your guild can actually come to your city and they can offer their goods. You can offer your goods. And if you have a city, if your guild has a city, all the crafters in your guild gets bonuses. For instance, if your guild builds a blacksmith, all the armor smiths and weaponsmiths in your guild can create even more advanced weapons than no one else can, making your guild even more powerful as you can create goods that is in high demand. So it's really like a small economical simulation. Here you see other things you can build. You can build a barracks, you can build the thieves guild, you know, armor's workshop, engineer's workshop, anything. So let's just make something. Again, this is sped up. This is going to take a long while when you're actually doing this in the game. It can take anything from several days to several weeks to create an entire city. So what they're doing now around here is that they're building the fortifications. They're building the walls to protect their city from attacks. And this is important because if you construct a complete player city, you will be allowed to build a battle keep. Then you will be allowed to go into an area called the Border Kingdom and build something similar to this, but what other players can attack. And this, it looks quite similar to this actually. So here you see the walls rise up from the ground. There's supposed to be like sound effects for this. We don't have sound effects, so I guess I'm just gonna do it. Thank you, thank you. I do beatboxing too, I'll be here all week. Okay, so here we are just looking over our city. If Shannon would be so kind to just sort of zoom out now. This is the perfect ending of the demonstration. We have gone from a slave, you know, washing up on the beaches of Tortage. We have cheated our way to being great. And now we're standing here, the owner of a guild. We have constructed a city. We have made our mark on the game world. And this is what you're going to be able to do when Age of Conan launches. It's not just about running around killing trolls. It's about creating civilizations, doing diplomacy with other guilds, creating these huge things that will stand the test of time. Damn, this is epic. Yes! It's like poetry. So, in 2 months from now, I want you all to go out and buy this game. When I come back here next year to talk about the expansion, I want to see Age of Conan on all your screens, not World of Warcraft. But to tell you the truth though, I have a level 60 hunter, dwarf. He's a nice guy, yes. So I love World of Warcraft too. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. This has been a tiny little piece of what you'll be able to do in Age of Conan, but I just want to say that we're incredibly proud to be Norwegian and create this game. We're gonna make you all proud, we promise. It's not gonna be about bunads and kjøttkake anymore, it's gonna be about Age of Conan when people talk about Norway. So thank you so much. And just one final thing, thank you so much. What we're gonna do now is that we're gonna go into the auditorium behind us here, and we're gonna have a QA session. So you can ask us whatever you want and we're gonna answer it. So yes, so join us for that. Thank you.